Hey, yo, what's up? Hey, it's story time with Mr.NoGimmicK. So here's the thing, I want to tell y'all something, right? So, I don't know if y'all are familiar with the date and time or not, but today is January 29th. And 2 years ago, on January 30th, I made my MMA debut against Liam Salsquick over there in Newark, Ohio for OCL. And that was 2 years ago, January 30th. And here's the thing, man, is during that time, my cousin Markey had been living with me, and that was his bedroom right over there, right? And Markey, man, rest in peace. He's a goddamn legend, man. I love that fool, man. I knew it was gonna be loud up in here, right? And it's gonna be getting emotional, because I got a story for y'all. I don't think y'all quite understand what was all involved in this, right? So, growing up, I never really played sports in high school because we was always too poor. I wasn't ever able to. And I would always hear these badass stories about Markey and all these fights that he used to get in. And I thought that shit was cool as hell. All the other cats around the block, they was always getting into fights. And I remember hearing those stories, and I'd be like, man, those cats are so cool, man. When I grow up, I'm trying to be just like that. Right? Hold on, let me turn this down. Let me turn this movie down a little bit, right? Over here watching Creed. And I listen to all these stories being told about my man Markey. Ever since I was a youngin', I'm talking about I was 5 or 6, 8 years old, I started wanting to put in work. And I remember when people talk about him and talk about his stories, man, I thought he was so cool, man. And I wanted to be just like that. So at that young age, that's all I ever knew. I used to watch these movies with all these criminals, and I thought it was so cool, man. You know, I never really knew anybody doing good with their life, and that's the road that I wanted to go down. I remember I'd see all these cats getting out of prison, and they'd be jacked. I remember hearing all the stories. When you go to prison, you come out, and you just get beefed up, right? And growing up, I never had nothing to look forward to. I knew I wasn't never going to college, but I knew I was probably going to end up in prison so I could go in there and get to working out, right? And my man Markey was a huge influence to that. Rest in peace. So here's the thing. 3 years ago, this man calls me. He says, hey, Blair, I just got out of rehab, man. I don't know anybody doing good with their life. And I heard you're doing good. So I told him, I said, hey, man, I'll come up there to you, check you out, and I'll see what you got going on. I'm going to come up there, and I'm going to see your living situation. He said, hey, man, this is a trap house. He said, there's paraphernalia everywhere. He said, I really wasn't ever planning on coming back here, but the halfway houses are all closed down because of COVID, and I got out of rehab, and they made me come back here. Well, so I told him, I said, hey, man, you just hang tight, and I'll be up there here in a little bit. And I went up there, and I seen him, and I thought he was really trying to change his life around. He had some real good shit to say, right? Well, I told him, I said, hey, man, I got an apartment down here in Meadville, and you can come down here and live with me. Well, he came down here and he lived with me. He lived with me for a whole year. He was doing good. He was involved in the NA program. He had a sponsor, home group. He was doing all the things. But then he just started to slip. He couldn't get back with it. I don't know exactly what happened, but he quit coming around, right? His basic tech started to get dusty. His step working guide wasn't quite being used as much. Well, January 29th, which is today's date, 2 years ago, I had to pack my stuff up and head out there to Columbus to go stay in the hotel. And it was probably about the same time, 1 o'clock in the morning. So he comes home 1 o'clock in the morning, and he's all spun out on meth. He's all messed up. And I was real upset, man. I didn't know what to do because I knew I had to leave. I had to go over to this hotel so I could get into this scrap. I was devoted. I signed the contract. I couldn't back out. So he goes over there and he shuts himself in that bathroom, or in that bedroom, because that was his bedroom right there. And it was about 2 o'clock in the morning which is about this time it is right now. And man, it's crazy. It's crazy that shit happened, man. You never expect it, you know? You never think, man, if I would have did something different. Maybe I should have called the police. Maybe I should have called the ambulance. Maybe I should have talked to him just a little while longer, you know? I don't know what else I could have done different. Well, I woke up that morning and I went to go check on him, right? And I'm knocking on his door and his light's on. And mind you, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. I figured this mother trucker just been up all night tweaking, right? So I go to try to check on him and I can't get his door to open up. So I go outside. I go over to my dad's house and I told my dad about what had happened last night, that he'd come home tweaking, right? And so I went back up and I tried to get back into his door and I'm pushing on the door and I can't figure out why I can't get in his door. And next thing I know, I'm thinking, I said, man, this motherfucker was in there tweaking all night. He probably could put some shit in front of his door so can't nobody get in. Well, that wasn't the case. I went back outside and I had some urge. I knew I needed to climb up on the second story of my building and look inside his window because I wasn't sure what was happening. But when I got out there and I climbed up the side of his building and I looked in the side of the window, I seen this motherfucker dead. I opened up the window and I crawled in and he was laying on the bed. He was no longer alive. And I couldn't figure out what went wrong. I just started losing it. I started crying. I had to call 911. I knew I had to get to this hotel so I could go get into this fight. And the only reason I was fighting, because I wanted to be like this man. This man was dead inside my apartment. I didn't know what to do. So the coroner came over and they dragged him out. And I took off and I left and I cried for the whole 4-hour drive all the way over to Columbus, Ohio. And I fought Liam Salsquist and I won via guillotine in the second round. Man, that was 2 years ago. Now I'm doing the same workout. The day he moved in with me, we did the same workout with this same bench, with these same weights. We did the same workout, right? I'm gonna show you something. We did the same workout right here. And then we took this picture. That's my man. Rest in peace to a goddamn legend. That's my man, Markey, right there. 2 years ago, he passed away in that bedroom because I couldn't get his door open because his foot was underneath the door and I couldn't get it open because he was dead laying there. So I devote this workout to you, Ryan. So here it is, 2 o'clock in the morning, and it just dawned on me. Here I'm watching the Creed movies, I'm chilling. I'm just hanging out and I go to look at my clock. And then I remembered, it was the same time. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. He came home and he was tweaking. And then he went and laid his ass in that bed. And he never woke up ever again. And that was 2 years ago today. And I don't want nobody to ever forget this man. Because he's the reason why I chose this life. He inspired me to be who I am today. And I'm sharing this message with y'all. Just share a message of hope. Because I don't want anybody to ever think they have to die alone. Because you don't. You don't ever have to pick up drugs ever again. You too can stay clean. I've been clean now for a little over 5 years. And this man hit me up looking for help. Because he didn't know anybody else to turn to. Mind you, he was almost 40 years old. And he had nobody else in his life. Except for some cousin that he only seen 3 times in his whole life. I never even met this man growing up. I might have seen him just a couple of times. And every time I seen him, I was like, man, I heard so many stories about you. You know, he wouldn't give me the time of day because he was too busy getting high, right? And then he calls me. He called me 3 years ago. And he said, hey, man, I heard you're doing good in your life, right? So the man that I looked up to was now looking up to me. And he called me and he said, hey man, I don't know anybody else doing anything good in my life except for you. And I said, hey Ron, I'll be right there. I said, I'll be right there, man. You just hang tight. And we went up there and we cleaned out his apartment. And I told him pack up his shit. He put all his clothes in a garbage bag. And he moved into my apartment. And he got a home group. He got a sponsor. He started working steps. He got a job. He was doing everything he was supposed to be doing. And then he quit going to meetings. He quit going to his home group. He was more worried about going to work. I said, hey, Ryan, you want to go to the meeting tonight? He said, nah, man, that's all right. He's like, I'm going to just chill. He would just chill on the couch and he'd watch TV. He'd work all day and he'd come home and he'd order a pizza. That's what he did, man. Anybody knew Ryan Markey? He was a working fool, man. He liked to eat food. He'd come home every day. He'd eat some food, man. He'd eat Burger King. He'd go down to Burger King and get 2 for $6. He's the reason why I eat Burger King today. I never used to eat Burger King, right? I come home, he'd be like, hey man, you want some pizza? No, Ron, I gotta cut weight for this fight, cuz. He's like, oh, come on, man, just work extra hard. Nah, man, I can't. Man, he quit going to meetings. He quit calling a sponsor. He quit working the steps. Oh. Those are the things you gotta do. Now I know y'all are probably looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm sitting here telling y'all a story while I'm pumping this iron. You see, because I'm emotional today, right? I got a fight I'm training for, right? I'm watching the Rocky movies. And then I'm laying here and all of a sudden I remember this. That Ryan died in my apartment exactly 2 years to the date and probably within the same hour. And all of a sudden I just got up, right? I got up. I set my weigh station up. I kicked my bed to the side. And I got my bike, right? I got my bike over here. You know? Boom, I got my bike. I know y'all seen this bike. Boom, I just started riding this bike. You know? Burn some extra calories. Let this emotion out. And then I figured, I said, you know what? Let me jump on here and make a video for my fans just so y'all understand. I said, let me jump on here and share a little bit of hope with y'all, man. Because I went through that. I'm an addict too. I didn't use that as an excuse to use. I used that as an excuse to break through. You know? I could have picked up over that. I could have went and got high. I could have canceled that fight. I could have did a lot of things, but I didn't, man. I stuck to the game plan. I stuck to the discipline that I had. I stuck to the contract. I showed up, I put my gloves on, I strapped up, I stepped inside that cage, and I punched that motherfucker in his mouth, right? And I walked out with a win. That's what it's all about, man. You know, you got competitors, then you got fighters. You know, I'm trying to be a martial artist. At the end of the day, I'm a fucking street fighter, man. That's all I know. Rest in peace, the motherfucking legend, man. Rest in peace to Ryan Markey, man. He's the reason why I do this shit. I've been fighting for a long fucking time, man. This motherfucker told me his record was 56-1. He lost one fight and quit fighting. Well, I added up my fights the other day. I got 37 fights under my belt. And I lost probably about 10 of them. I don't care, man. Maybe I'll never be as great as him. But here's the moral of the story is I grew up respecting this man and looking up to him. And then he calls me, he says, Blair, I don't know anybody in my life doing well except for you. And he called me. Right, he lived with me for a whole year. We was dogs, man. We was brothers, man. Every day for a year. We got one-on-one time with each other. We got that real with each other. We told each other our deepest secrets, man. We was brothers up in this fucking apartment, man. The day before he died, he looked at me and said, Blair, this has been the best year of my fucking life. That's what he told me. He said, Blair, I've been around for 30-some years. He said, this has been the best year of my life. He spent a whole year sober, clean, abstinent from all mood or mind-altering substance, and had the best year of his life, man. I was able to help him out with that and guide him through that. And then all of a sudden, The disease of addiction is cunning and baffling. It's baffling up in here, man. And he come home high as a kite that night, right? He come home high as a kite. And he never got another chance. He never got another chance. That's all it took was that one. That one use. Put him in the ground, man. I don't know why I'm sharing this with you, man. Maybe because when I feel like that camera's on and I'm going to share this to social media, I'm not alone, right? Here I'm sitting in my apartment all by my damn self, 2 o'clock in the goddamn morning, emotional. So I decided to pick up some fucking weights and get in the pump on. Because that's what me and Ryan did, man. We'd be up all night just fucking curling these same dumbbells, pressing these same dumbbells. We'd fill up a bucket full of dirt and curl that shit, right? Because that's what we did, man. I said, you know what? Let me jump up out of this bed and put in a workout for him, man. Let's put in a workout. And I brought y'all in with it, man. And I want to share this experience with you guys, man. So now you know the story. And that's only one story. You might think that's some wild shit. Dan Blair been through a lot of shit. That ain't a lot of shit, man. That's just another day in my book, man. I've been through hell and back. That's just another day, man. Yeah, it sucked. It sucked. My cousin Ryan Markey died in that apartment, man. Yeah, that was terrible, man. But I got another 130 stories just like that that'll fuck you up, man. That'll fuck me up. That's why I'm all fucked up. You guys wonder why I'm so different? Well, now you know. Because I'm fucked up. I love you guys, man. That's why that's why you find me in the gym. That's why you find me in fights. That's why I fight. So I can deal with these emotions that I got built up inside of my head. That's why you find me at the gym pumping iron. That's why you see me walking around angry all the time. That's why you don't understand why he's so different. Well, maybe now you know, right? Maybe now you know. Maybe you won't judge me so hardly next time, huh? Yeah, but you probably will. That's all right. I've been dealing with that my whole life, and I don't care. It's who I am. I've been like this since I was the age of 2. I come out the womb and they named me Blair Nuts. That's right. Maybe I got a couple screws loose. I don't care. Maybe you need to loosen up a couple screws. Huh? Yeah, we getting this workout in today, boy. Dang, man. I can't believe he's gone, man. I can't believe it. Right here. Right here in this apartment, man. Rest in peace, bro. Hey, I love you, Ryan. You helped me a lot. I'm glad I could help you. Hey, yo, and anybody for watching this video, man. It doesn't matter what you're going through. You can get through it. Find positive coping skills. Get yourself into martial arts, man. It'll save your life. I'm out. If you're ever struggling and you need somebody, hit me up. Any time of night, any time of day, you can reach out to me.